So this week we're going to do a simple little assignment, get a little bit of a breather because I noticed some people seem to be choking under the weight of the class. So this is a simple assignment. It's pretty fun. We're just going to put some jQuery elements into our page. And I encourage you just to go ahead and use a page that you already started, your resizable page that you created for this past week's assignment. And the first thing you need to go is go to jqueryui.com. Now, jQuery is a JavaScript library that's used for a lot more things than what we're going to use it here today. It's actually a very powerful and very commonly used tool out there in the web world. However, we're just going to do the fun stuff this week. So if you go to jqueryui.com, you can see some of the things that it does. If I take a look at the demos here, but the demos were here on the side, I can make things that are draggable. I can make accordions. I can make a menu bar. There's all different kinds of things that you can do here with this tool. Let's do effects. These are fun. How you can make things disappear, come in, come out. And obviously we're not going to use these to the full effect, but things that you may be interested in, probably more. And I'm asking you to do 3 or 4 of these different things. They're actually pretty simple when you get in there. And I do encourage you to probably do accordion for sure. Tabs is something you may end up using. Date picker. Some of these though are going to, the tabs and the accordions really, you don't have to be a programmer to even do the back end of those. So they're good things for you to play with. But you can go in and dig on all of these things. Selectable, these are fun. Sortable. You could make a whole puzzle game with these things if you wanted to. You can have it be drag and drop. So you can see, if you get creative with this, you can have a lot of fun. But I do encourage you to get caught up on everything else and then just have fun with this project. So how does this work? So I'm going to go first to the download page because we do have to download some files generally to make this work. So for this particular download, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this at the last stable version. And I'm going to leave all of these selected because what I find sometimes happens to students is sometimes I encourage students to, but more advanced students, to not have everything selected because that makes your file bigger. However, then you have to go in and add all of these things individually. So better just to leave everything selected. And you can down here change your theme if you want. Let's take a look at the theme picker. You can change these into one of the existing themes. So what do you want your things to look like on the page? And if you just know, let's say I want my things to be, where was that one with the hot pink and everything? That was kind of interesting looking. Okay, that's quite the page, quite the thing. It's based on Flickr. It's called Flick, I can tell. Okay, so let me go back to download. I'm going to leave all of this stuff selected. And then I would go in here and do Flickr. However, I'm not going to download it again for the sake of expediency. And the last time that I did that, actually, I had selected a different theme. Can't remember. Redmond I did, which it looks a little bit differently, and I'm not going to re-download it. So my things are actually going to look like, let's see, what will they look like? Where's Redmond? Like that. Nowhere near as fun as Flickr. Okay, so back to download. So you leave everything selected. Select your theme. Don't worry about this. And then hit download. And you're going to get a file that has a whole bunch of stuff on it. Let's see, in my downloads here. I got this jQuery and it has all this whole bunch of stuff in it. but you really don't need all of that. The only things that you're going to need are this external jQuery JS file. You're going to need the jQuery UI, either the min or the regular one, jQuery UI CSS. I'm using the min, but these are both exactly the same. The min and the jQuery UI CSS is somewhere here, right here. They're the same thing. What this means, whenever it says min like that, that means that they've pulled all the spaces out of it so that it's a little bit smaller file size, but it's not human readable. So either link to this one, jQuery UI min CSS, or jQuery UI CSS. They're both the same file. You only need one. And you also need jQuery UI min JS. So I already created a folder on my desktop here. And I'm structuring this a little bit more like in a professional sense. So I dropped both my JS in here in the jQuery folder. I have my jQuery-ui.min.js and my jQuery JS. Basically, this is like the tools that this one is built on. So you need to have jQuery JS in order for jQuery UI to run. In fact, you'll see you even have to list jQuery JS first on the page before this one, because this library has to load before that library. And then in my CSS, I just have this jQuery UI min.css, and I created this index folder just for the sake of time. Or excuse me, index file. This is not the index file that came in that folder. So of all that junk that it gave me, I needed those three things. So what I'm going to do now that I'm in Dreamweaver, I'm going to go ahead and always in Dreamweaver, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new site, or in this case manage it because I created it just a moment ago. But let's go ahead and take a look here. Site. New sites. I'll go ahead and I'll find that folder. It's on my desktop, called jQuery. Now if you were using brackets, what you're going to do is create that folder and then just say file open folder. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to cancel because I've already created this site. Now I can go and look at my files. I must have them pushed off somewhere. I'm not quite sure where I stashed them. Sometimes I push things off of my view. I have two monitors here you can't really see, so I pushed it over here to the other side. Okay, so here's my new file. It's just a basic file, one that's opened up in Dreamweaver. Now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to link to that CSS. I'm going to use the handy dandy Dreamweaver tools for this. However, you could, if you wish to, just type this in. It doesn't matter. I'm going to attach an existing CSS and I'm going to go out to that jQuery folder. I really wish it would pop open my folder, my root. Okay, so I'm linking that CSS right there. And now down here, under the body tag, but above the HTML tag, I'm going to link those scripts. So I'm going to type script, source, src, browse, and again, I'm going to go to that jQuery. And as I mentioned before, you have to attach this jQuery file first. And for one reason or another, you do have to have a closing script tag. Now I can attach that jQuery UI. Okay, and now let the fun begin. This is the basic file right here. There's very little else I'm doing that's not copying and pasting. So let's go ahead and pop open again that jQuery UI. So let's say I want to have an accordion. Or let's say, yeah, let's do an accordion. So I'm going to go ahead here and I can go ahead and I can view source. And there's only two important things. Since I already have the CSS, I need to grab this function right here. And I'm going to grab the script tags. From now on, if I have a function, I can stick it within these same script tags. But I'm going to go ahead and just copy that. Paste that there. That's all I have to do. Go back here. Now you can see that the accordion is set up with just div tags. So I make a div and I tell it, hey, you are an accordion. Dude, you're an accordion, okay? Just be an accordion. And since I don't have any contents, I'm going to go ahead and just copy all of this. I would like you to have your own contents, but for simplicity's sake right now, I am not going to bother with that. Now I'm going to go back into the body because this is a visible part of the page, right? It's going to show up, so it has to be in the body. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this, and look, there it is. Now you would go in and put in pictures and change this stuff and change your headings and everything like that, but it is that simple. If I take a look at this in Firefox, boom, that simple. Now, of course, I should probably control this inside of a div. If I had this in a div that was a smaller size, for instance, or I could give this a style width. So you can style these things too, however you want to do. So there's my 50% of the page accordion. You could see that this would actually work pretty slick on a phone. So you think of things that you could do where you're actually making things work on a phone. In fact, this whole div could be used display, block, display, hidden, display, inline, whatever you want to do to appear and disappear depending on the size of the phone if you had time to really get creative. Okay, now let's try one more. I threw a picture of myself in the page so I could drag myself around. So if I go into the jQuery code here, let's say I want to make myself draggable. Let's view the source. All I have to do is get that little code, that function draggable. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. Control C. And down here on the bottom, I don't need to put new script tags. I can actually just put that after this function. Now these functions, well, that's okay. Leave it like that. I'm going to put it in there. And now notice when you're looking at these functions, this has a pound or hashtag accordion. Well, notice that this is ID equals accordion. That should ring some bells for you because it's just like we do it with CSS, right? So right now I'm making one thing draggable. It's going to have an ID equals draggable. However, if I wanted to have multiple things that were draggable, I could just make a draggable class and change that to a dot. So now let's go up and put my picture in here. So I'm going to say class equals draggable. Hopefully I'm spelling that correctly. Okay. Now you see this is listed after, so those things are on top, which is interesting the way it chooses to layer. But the nice thing about having this be a class is I could make a whole bunch of things draggable and droppable. So if I was going to build a puzzle like that, it would go. I could really have some fun with this. So that is really all that I want you to do. I want you to do this. I want you to start gathering up your materials that you will show samples of your work. You can even create new samples of your work to prove to employers that you are going to save them from all of their suffering, employers and clients and whoever. How can you demonstrate that? Start gathering things in a file, and start thinking about how you will make the navigation structure for your final project. But that is it. You have this project. I want you to make a page, try to do something creative with it, put in your own contents, and use 4 jQuery. 4 jQuery elements I want you to use. See how I come up with your projects? That's just that simple. And additionally, if you have something where I have said, a lot of you have, if you've had a project that you didn't do as well as you would have liked on, I have said, please redo this assignment and get it back to me. I would like all of those done this week if you could, so we can get everybody's grades up to where we want them to be. And also because I will get to a point where I don't want to be looking at HTML1 and HTML2 assignments at this, I don't want to be seeing them at the end of the semester. So if you're going to be redoing an HTML1 or an HTML2 or CSS1 assignment, really, I need to see those very soon, like this week. Additionally, if you are struggling, please make an appointment to Skype with me, or either that, or we can both take our computers and go sit at a table at Starbucks. I have a preference for the one on 410 and 151. And we can go and we can work on this, because I know a lot of people prefer to meet face-to-face. They don't like to have, they don't like to work all isolated and alone in the world. So I'm not above meeting with you if you feel that's necessary. So anyway, have a great week. Enjoy this kind of little catch-up breather with this light assignment, and let me know if I can help you with anything.